That means we will not be attending to you, community. Okay? And Elijah, who are the people with you? The Chevron and the Shekiri graduates and the Comfort. I'm sure, apart from the Joe Regional and the Shekiri, all the other groups were represented in the last meeting. And the issues are quite clear to us. The issue of those on the employment of Chevron organization and who have been trained and who are looking at the issues surrounding employment, who are looking at the legality of what is happening with regards to the laws of the land, the labor laws, and we are looking at a way of getting to an amicable resolution of this matter. This is the house of the Nigerian people, and at all times we have a responsibility to interface and bring sanity, especially to troubled areas. And today, this is another opportunity for us to look at the issues between Chevron, who started it, and this is a continuation. And we are hoping that we will all come out sincerely and talk to ourselves today so that this matter can be laid to rest and normal operations and relationships will continue. We will like to call on Chevron to take us through their position right now with this issue. I have one or two members who did not attend the last meeting.
The board used an amicable resolution that will foster normal relations going forward. So I'd like to invite Breaking, the Senior General Manager, PGP, to give the status of our position on this matter.
Honorable Chairman, thank you once more for your patience and diligence in handling this particular matter, which to us is quite important. And it is for that reason that we have had to put up this level of representation to address this issue. Maybe in the interest of those who probably are coming anew, I please want to give a bit of the background to, just a brief background to where we are right now. We started a training program sometime in 2005. The training program was to build capacity of young men and women to be able to be employable in the oil industry. That training program has actually gone over a period of time, and we've successfully trained about 550 people throughout the course of the training. And of this number, about 400 of them have been employed. And in the course of the training, and when situations started getting bad for the company, and of course not just for the company alone, I mean we all know what the situation is right now in the country. It was becoming very difficult for us to continue to present opportunities to explain the situation. And we came to some level of understanding with the leadership at the time. That was about 2 years ago, that we will continue to extend the training duration to be able to keep these people you know, keep them busy instead of just discharging them into the open unemployment market. And the leadership saw the situation with
what leadership now?
The leadership of the communities where we operate are made up of the largest leadership of the larger regional development committee, and he just precisely had this discussion with them. They saw the reasons, and our points were very, very clear. And he said, well, they really appreciate the situation, and of course, everybody is seeing what the situation is in the country. And they urged us to go ahead. They urged us, and we felt that it was better this set of individuals kept being busy instead of training, because we didn't make any commitment to any employment after the training. He said, instead of throwing them out in the labor market, which was already saturated, keep them busy, and let's see how, you know, whether situations can improve for opportunities to present themselves. So that's what we've been doing, expecting that things will get better with the business. And of course, naturally, those who were involved started getting a little bit jittery about the status of their employment, because they couldn't really go out because outside is saturated. And this has been for some time, and the graduate associations of the respective ethnic groups in the area, made up of the Shekiris, the Jaws, and the largest, teamed up and started representing the interests of these 151 individuals who we couldn't really present employment opportunities for. And they brought the matter down here. This honorable house looked into the matter and discussed it in some detail precisely on the 17th of May. And the house adjourned and said Chevron should look into this matter. Stakeholders will have to talk to themselves, and the meeting will be convened. And at this point in time, the last extension that we had for the training program, which had been on for some time, was going to be expiring sometime on the 30th of June. Everyone should maintain the peace, and let's look at how to bring about some amicable resolution to this matter. So we're looking for how to ensure that this set of trainees are training to enable the committee get back from recess and deal with the issues. But of course, the workers at that point decided to not to participate in any kind of activities going on in the operations anymore. They eventually stopped work, you know, stop any kind of training instructions given to them. And they remained so up until the ending of June, where we had to declare the training over, because at that time they had decided we weren't going to be doing anything. And during this period, we started getting threats to our operations from the group that you said should maintain the peace while you looked into this committee, looked into this issue. It took the intervention of the JTF in Delta State to stop any kind of disruption against the instruction to our operations during this period. And the JTF had to call a meeting in Delta State sometime last week where they urged that there should be no breach of peace while this honorable committee was looking into the matter. And the regional development committees actually said they were really going to be getting involved to see how to bring about a resolution of this matter. And as you know, the last time we came here, we reiterated that we at no point made any employment commitment to any group or individuals in relation to any training programs. We also reiterated that the training program was not a pathway to employment, but if employment opportunities that present themselves in the course or at the end of the training, then those who are successful in the training will now be very opportune, having been well trained, to get those opportunities. And this is how we have gotten to where we are. Based on this honorable committee's intervention, we went back, looked into what our business needs are. The business needs continue to indicate that the opportunities for a Chevron employment do not exist. And we have had to look and bend over backwards to see how to have some discussions with our labor service providers in our organization. Having gone through some painstaking process, I've been able to identify some opportunities up to 50 operations trainee and maintenance trainee positions, which we are prepared to, to talk with us labor service providers to present to the trainees and those who are interested who will be offered those opportunities through some selective processes that they have to go through. And that definitely, of course, brings the training program to an end because we cannot continue to fund a program that appears to look like it's attracting some kind of negative expression of whatever impression that's being created as a result of the continuous existence of the training program. So, Honorable Chevron, members of the House, this is just a summary of the journey that I just presented and what the management of Chevron Nigeria Limited has considered as an appropriate measure to bring this issue to a close in talking with our labor service providers to create opportunities for 50 of the 150 of them, which we can accommodate because clearly employment has been.
Before I yield the floor to the various groups, I want them to have a clear understanding of what you have proposed. You talked about your service providers engaging 50 people. I want to know to what extent, what level are they engaging them. Let us know clearly what they have for these 50 people. Then when you tell us exactly how these 50 people will function, then I will now yield the floor to the various groups to make their contribution.
In furtherance of the description that given on the opportunities, just to clarify that these opportunities are with labor contractors. They will be for operations positions. And so they would work in the various operating plants where we've been able to identify some opportunity. So the conditions of service are the same as the labor contractors we have in the system today. And it's a comprehensive condition of service that includes pension and medical and also some other benefits that come with it. So there are standard labor contracts that we have in the system.
What they are currently taking. And they will have vacation allowance and vacation, and they will have pension, the contributory pension. They will have field allowance because they are rotation, and they will have medical package under health insurance for themselves and for the immediate family of wife, spouse, and 4 children. And they will have overtime when they do overtime. So generally, and they will have an offer letter from the companies that are hiring them. That's generally it.
In place between NAPINS and us, the governance of that is each contract has a 2-year life cycle plus an option for 1-year extension. However, there's always a higher probability those contracts are renewed because so long as the need for those services are still required, what happens is that they are rolled into a new contract. I would say in terms of continuity, it's more likely to continue in terms of they are having employment with that service provider. And if there's something else I'd like to add to that, once they get into this contract, they have the freedom to also form associations. In fact, there are some of them there that are members of either Lupeng or Pengasin, as the case may be. So all the benefits of what you would attribute to somebody who is properly employed are contained in this package. Thank you.
I will yield the floor to the various groups, starting with the Shekiri.
First of all, I want to, on behalf of the National Association of Shekiri Graduates and some of the trainees in VTP5, started their recruitment process in 2008. And in my hand is the letter written by Chevron, Nigeria Limited, signed by the director Chevron, and then she was the manager of human resources. The letter clearly states, application for employment, operator, maintenance technician. Dear in continuation of your recruitment exercise, Chevron Nigeria Limited, for the position of operator maintenance technician, we are pleased to invite you to an assessment day as follows. I that is standing here, I was part of that process, and I was part of the interview. I was interviewed. And on the interview day, they told us clearly that this is an employment process. And some people were taken, some people were not called up until 2012. These persons did not apply fresh, they didn't put fresh application to Chevron Nigeria Limited. They formed the Mid-Africa Strategic Business Unit, Operations and Maintenance Training and Organization Governance Model, page 22. 5.4 talks about the vocational training. So the vocational training is designed for new employees. The vocational training element was anticipated to be of this duration. Now, sir, I don't want Chevron Nigeria Limited to keep misleading this house, and this training was out of goodwill or to build capacity. It was actually for employment, and in my hand is the EGTL operations team organogram. It contains names and passport photographs of only Chevron staffs. It doesn't contain contract staffs. And under the names, you see those trainees.
I need to get clearly what you have. Can I have
of the Chevron Escravos gas to liquid operations team.
These are the people that were trained?
No, they are all Chevron staffs.
Okay, then.
As the company organogram.
Okay.
But under it, you see the passport photographs of those in VTP5. They are all listed with their passport photograph. They are part of the Chevron operations team. That team does not contain
the lower.
Yes, the ones under them.
The operator training food.
Are they the people we are talking about now?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes sir.
Those are the people captured here.
Yes, sir. Some of them, not all of them. Those that are in EGTL, because we have in other locations.
So the ones that are captured, the ones captured here, are captured as staff of. What are they captured as now?
They are captured as operation trainees. What I'm trying to say is, a company organograms does not carry casual workers or people that are not part of your employment process. If they were recruited, like they claimed the other time, that for space that brought them for training, they won't capture them in their operation organogram. I also have with me a mail.
I'm sure I can have a copy of it.
No, you can take that. I also have with me a mail sent on Friday, June 13, 2014 from the gas plant OGL specialist. OGL is on the job learning. It was said, we are commencing the process of reclassification of some of the OGL trainees, in brackets, VTP4 and VTP5. Please review the list below and send the CV template attached to those under your coverage to develop their CVs and revert in 2 weeks, in bracket June 24th, 2014. The process takes a while, so they need to act promptly and ensure the CV is well completed to avoid setback. Now, sir, this was the mail that was sent June 2014 for the reclassification of VTP4 and 5. But on January 2015, only VTP4 trainees were reclassified. Take note of the word, sir. Reclassification is not employment. People are already in their employment. They are only changing their status. They are not doing a different job. They are doing the same job that they have been doing.
Now, let me ask you, sorry to break it. So what you are saying to us is that these people in VTP5,
yes, sir,
they were being trained as staff of Chevron.
Yes.
They have been employed by Chevron and they are going through training.
that is what it's supposed to be. But Chevron, in their own way, refused to accept them in their packages as employees. In words, in their report, spot sheet, even if you check, if you ask them to bring, these trainees have those relieving them after 2 weeks as Chevron staffs. They don't have trainees. Some of them don't have trainees as them back to back. They have Chevron staff. Some are even team lead supervisors.
Go ahead.
So it is just a case of internally you are using these trainees to do your job because you see them as cheap labor. Externally, you claim to the whole world that you don't know them, like they said the other time. They are not responsible for them. They are only helping them because they don't want them to be jobless. I'm talking about causing trouble, like the GM PGPA said the other time. I was amused, let me not say surprised, because I saw a letter I was snapped. It's from PACE, June. This is the copy of the letter. That is why the workers are not working presently. The PACE that told this honorable house on May 17, 2018 that the trainees have completed all their trainings. In fact, that they had OPITO certificates for 76, according to them. They now brought a new letter now, not through the mail. Normally they send letters through mail, but this time they brought the letters through the supervisors and they were calling the trainees to their room, to their offices, one after the other, to sign for another 20 weeks assessment. That was when the trainees refused. And the trainees said that in the first place they heard that this honorable house has said that PACE does not have the legal backing to issue any kind of contract to them again. And because of that, they were not going to do anything illegal because PACE cannot give what they don't have. But there are supervisors that told them, see that they sign to accept or they sign to reject. And if you sign to reject, you should leave the site immediately and go back. Since you want to follow the House of Assembly, you should go back to the House of Reps to resume. And the trainees now said, well, if that is the case, they are not in the best frame of mind psychologically and mentally to continue to do the job. And the supervisors duly advised them that for safety reasons, they should issue a stop work authority on themselves and stay away from work since they are not psychologically fit to work. That was what led to the trainees stopping job on Sunday, July 1st, 2018. Unless I forget, sir, on the issue of OPITO, because this OPITO thing has been causing a lot of problem. The last time I told this honorable house that I want PACE status with Opito investigated. I have done my own investigation. I have written to Opito, and Opito has replied to my mails up to 3 times. First of all, Opito is not a government-owned institution. It's been claimed by Chevron. It's a private company that is based in Scotland, in the UK. And Opito has sent me the list of their accredited trainers in Nigeria. And Prime Atlantic Segilec Nigeria Limited is not among them, sir. I have with me the mail I was sent to me by Opito. Prime Atlantic like a university that does not have NUC accreditation, but admitted students with the false pretense that they will give them a degree after completion of their training and after completion of their course studies. And after 4 years or 5 years, which normally happens sometimes in some institutions, you find out that some courses were not accredited. The student cannot collect their certificate. The student cannot even go for NYSC. The reason why PACE has not been able to give these people their Opito certificate is because in the first place, they don't have it. They are not known to Opito. The email is there. You can send the phone number and everything of Opito is there, sir. You can contact them yourself. 2, it is also to our knowledge that over these years that these trainees have been with PACE, they have been deducting withholding tax from the trainees, which is not being remitted, sir. They issued a certificate, tax certificate, withholding tax certificate to these trainees, and upon investigation, sir, the Ogun State Internal Revenue Board told us that PACE does not even have file in their office. And Chevron Nigeria Limited cannot claim to be ignorant of the fact that PACE, this is the original, I have a photocopy that I will give you. They told me, the Ogun State Internal Revenue Board, at every of their certificates, this is one that was issued, every one of it has what they call a TCC number. And this one, sir, you can find out yourself, does not have it. The email on this tax certificate is a fake email, intentionally placed there by the person that did it for PACE or by PACE themselves, so that when you send an inquiry, you will not get the appropriate response. Even the website is a wrong website, sir.
This is coming from Chevron.
It is coming from PACE, which is doing it on behalf of Chevron. So, sir,
is PACE represented here?
Yes. Yeah.
Continue.
So, and finally, let me not take too much time. The letter sent to these trainees when they were about to resume in the classroom training at the Ugere Training Center clearly states that they should settle all claims and release properties belonging to their former employers. If the training, I know different trainings that is done in the oil industry. I know those that are done under CDC, Nigeria Content Development Board. They give you a contract to a particular sum. You are entitled to train some people. And that training, some they do octane training, they do all kind of training. They don't tell you to resign from your job for you to take the training. If you want to take it, part of young Nigerians, particularly those from the oil producing communities, maybe because they feel the people are ignorant, they decide to use them as slave laborers, deceiving them that they are assessing them for OPITO certification, whereas PACE is not known to OPITO. And they keep keeping them on the training every 6 months with the hope that, okay, if we cannot take you, you will have your certification. Now they are here telling us the only thing they can offer is a contract, a labor contract, so we reject it. And if these people, because now they don't have their...
Focus on your prayers.
Our prayers is that these people, the 151 trainees, must be absorbed immediately. And if they are not done, we will take all necessary legal processes to ensure it is done. Thank you, sir.
Made some very serious allegations here, and before I let those involved address the House, the Combat Employment Front, are they here? They are here. Do you have any? Okay, Combat is part of. Okay, so let's go to the Ijaw Regional Development Council to see your position on where we are now. You clearly understand where we are now, so let's know what your approach.
Was in 2014, 13, the first batch were engaged. And when we saw that the needful was not done, we've been on it. We hold it as a front burner issue. And ever since then, we have been engaging Chevron. And not to take much of your time with the rhetoric of the details of this matter, because you have had so much of it. Going to what the GM PGPA said, that some years ago, they engaged the leadership of the communities, referring to the Regional Development Council, that yes, they are engaging these boys or keeping them as a way of helping them out of goodwill. It is not correct. It is not correct in the sense that they have engaged these boys, and after a while, when the experience of the economic downturn, as people that reason, we saw reason with them why they delayed the confirmation of these young men. And that was why we prevailed on the young men to tolerate. All what we hear is the downturn, the economic trend was not favorable to the oil and gas industry. So you have to hold patient with this company until things turn for the good. And that we've been expecting. But quite unfortunately, today what we are hearing is something different. Now, if I may ask, you engage these guys on the job learning for over 3 years or 4 years to say, and now you want to take 50 of them. What happens to the rest of them? And again, you want to take them on contracts. Was it contracts you engaged the former persons? The VTP 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 that you have successfully engaged. It was not on contract basis. So what's my position, simply without going much, is that what we expect Chevron to do, as the number is much, is to take these 150 persons in trenches under confirmation as Chevron employees, not contract staff. Not contract staff. Because anything like contract staff, it will be a disservice to these people. It means from the onset, Chevron has the intention to engage these guys for cheap labor. For cheap labor, which is unacceptable. If you are going to train them enough to engage them, even in trenches, in batches, let them be engaged. Not to say 50 of them for contract. What happens to the rest of them?
Thank you
so
very
that is
much.
my prayer. Thank you, sir.
Find a way to resolve this very thorny issue.
John, come here and use this mic.
Please, Mike.
Come on.
Sir?
Come here and use this mic because it's recorded.
Okay, for me to use the microphone.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, please.
Of your own.
But I want to look at it, and want this house to look at it from the realm of presumption. Presumption. You have this, my opinion is that the presumption that has been the trend, sir, in the training program can be looked at as such that can be called irrebuttable presumption. Why? Because you train BTP 1, BTP 2, 3, and 4. The trend, the presumed trend, is that once you finish the training, sir, you become a Chevron staff. So, if 1, 2, 3, 4 we are employed and confirmed by Chevron staff, why is this one different? Yes, the excuse is true. The economy was shaking. The IOCs had issues. Crude oil prices went down. According to them, they were magnanimous enough to retain them pending when there will be stability. These people have been, I would say, misled into believing that I will get a plan because they were somewhere before they came for this training. And like for one of the latest read, they were asked to what? Hand over their properties of their former employers. If you're in an employment before, leave that employment, hand over the properties to your former employer, come this way because you are sure of being retained. They have been misled to shift position and believing that there is an opening, they are waiting for them. So, my prayer, sir, is if Chevron cannot take all of that confirmed event at once, they should be confirmed in batches.
We know it is not time to be judgmental. So if we have any questions for clarification or any observation, we will come in. Otherwise, I will yield the floor to the representative of PACE. Maybe he should state his position first before my honorable colleagues can come in. Some allegations were made against PACE, and those are weighty allegations. So we need you to clear that.
Honorable Chairman of the State Board, just evidence. I mean, there's no point in arguing if you have the evidence. So by tomorrow morning, latest by 9 o'clock, it will be sent to you. Or official certification.
Okay, let me
also
find out.
to clarify, sir, that we actually have 2 companies that are also certified in Nigeria. 2 companies. So I don't know where they're getting the information from, but I'll provide the evidence to you tomorrow morning.
Okay. Do you make tax deductions from?
Yes, I will bring to government. So all of that will give you the evidence.
And you also give us evidence of remittance to
yes,
the revenue?
Beautiful.
Is there any other thing you want to say?
We also released secret certificates to the field, to the trainees. I'm not sure they...
What certificates exactly did you?
Opito. And I'd like to state it clear, sir. When the training started, it was not, I can show you evidence also, it was not stated that it was Opito training. Opito came about as our advice to Chevron to say to them, if you give them Opito, then they are marketable worldwide. I can show you, I'll try and look for the big documents from Napkins and Chevron, how it was started. Opito wasn't mentioned in that big document. So when we went for the job, we didn't be for Opito training. And I have the document which I'll provide tomorrow morning.
Okay, are you saying you have some of the Opito certificates ready?
Yes, ready. Yes, I'm ready.
Do you have for all the VTP5?
What we said, I think give us the numbers.
What we've done since the last time we were here is that we have collected 63 Opito certificates for those that have finished their assessments and verification. So those certificates have been given to Chevron for distribution to the trainees. So 63 we definitely have sent forward.
Chevron, the 63, are they 63 from the 151 in this VTP5?
Honorable Chair, that's correct. So 63 from the 151, they were delivered by case to us. But unfortunately, since the trainees are currently not in the field, it's been difficult to deliver to them. So we have received the 63 from the 151.
Okay, good. So let's go back to Chevron. You listen to the various groups.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Like we have consistently stated, the vocational training program was designed to provide a means to build the capabilities of young boys and girls, graduates, and make them have capability to be marketable anywhere within the Nigerian oil and gas industry. And to even make them further marketable, the idea of the OPITO training came about. Yes, coincidentally, by the time the program started, Chevron was bringing on some projects as well, same with some other companies in the oil and gas industry. Therefore, there was a business need to absorb quite a large number from the training program 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you check the records, either with any of them, there is no one single document that you can produce where we emphatically promised, guaranteed, remarked automatic employment at the end of the program. Now, as rightly stated, when it got to the turn of the VTP 5 and 6, yes, the worldwide downturn in the oil and gas industry, worldwide recession that we saw, did not create any opportunities for either new projects or new positions to absorb these individuals. I heard the mention of a certain organogram. I haven't seen that document, but it is not unusual when teams work, irrespective of where they are, they represent positions to discuss during team meetings and so forth. And that is inclusive of if you have interns, trainees, what have you. A simple chart that shows representation of people working in a certain location is not an employment letter. So I'd like to correct that impression there. In terms of staying in Escravos, being legally present in Escravos, Escravos is an operational area owned by Chevron and NMPC. You have to be there, engaged, doing meaningful assignment. 2, there has to be a contract between the individual agreeing to be in the Escravos to work, because there are potential liabilities associated with risk, insurance, and what have you. In addition, when people stop work inside the environment like that and tempers begin to flare, we have very hazardous systems there that if care is not taken and people go unruly, it could be very catastrophic. We never pushed them out. At the time it got to their turn to go out of the field on their rotational assignments, they left. However, to come into Escravos to work, you must have a signed agreement to work. And with due respect, before we left here, the Honorable Committee, the chairman, told everybody, he said, don't make any move to usurp the peace that you go. The first thing these individuals did, they went back, started sharing videos of our conversations in this room, went about threatening individuals, went about declaring work cessation, creating unhealthy tension. In fact, they were also to go to the warrior office to cause disruption there. It took intervention of the authorities to get them together to say, look, respect what the Honorable Committee has said. Chevron, he mentioned it, 400 out of 500 plus so far absorbed. We've never promised this individuals. But again, majority of them come from the host communities. We are mindful enough to say, instead of kick them out, because these individuals have relatives, some of them take care of us. We have this opportunity to transit them into this personnel service provider that have all the attributes that a normally employed person will have. They will have that relationship with their employers. they have the freedom to collectively bargain their conditions of service if they accept that. Mr. Chairman, sir, I would say in furtherance, in continuation of the goodwill which we established with the host communities in which we operate. This is a very good package. If they take it just like every other Nigerian, even some of the labor contractors we have in there, when positions open, they are free to apply. They take whatever test, you get opportunity to go there. As I speak, if you check my records, the first employment I got in National, in Port Harcourt, in 1990, July, I was on contract for 18 months. When opportunity came, I applied. Everybody applied. Good enough, I studied very well, and I got it. But it doesn't take this kind of action where you begin to try to threaten the peace, threaten everything, force. That's not the way to go. We should respect what the Honorable Committee is trying to do and try to reach again, I underline the word, an amicable resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I just want to add something, just the context to the stance of Chevron. As we have variously stated in this conversation, Chevron went into the process of setting up for capacity building, and on his own accord has hired almost 400 people. From 2005, when Agbami came on production, we've had huge projects, and we went on hiring according to those projects. We had Agbami, we had EGTL, we had Zonam, we had all kinds of projects where every time in the industry, heavy projects were coming on board. And then, up to 2013, Chevron Corporation was investing not less than $2.2 billion into the Nigerian business unit. As we speak today, the investment is not up to $1 billion. By next year, it will be less than $1 billion. So, what makes us higher, create more jobs is projects. When projects are done and we go into base business, we don't need as many people. And when projects are not oncoming, they are not basis for hiring.
People disappointment. Whatever there's expectations, be disappointment. What you are having today is bold expectations because the DTA1, you call it
DTV 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Even if it is not clear in your formally stated that yes, we are going to employ you. Yes, the expectations come. Yes, X, Y, Z, Y employed. Maybe Mr. A would expect that when it comes to my tongue, I'll get the employment. But that one is expectations. And when you go to a court of law, you can't work based on expectations. Because I'm expecting to get 1 year, I was only that I will spend the one, or I will still 1 year, I said 1 year. Not the one I'm expecting. I will. And Madam made another presentation. The reason why we are able to absorb 1, 2, 3, and 4 was because the business was booming and there were opportunities for them to hire. And now the business is down, that is why they cannot hire. But one question I want to ask is, you see, Chairman, so they said they are open job for 50. As through is it called label? What do they call it? Label contract.
Yeah, contract.
My take is, sir, if you want to employ someone through label contracts, is it because you are too magnanimous enough to be just like for the Christmas? Because I want to be good to your community, let me offer them a job in a labor contract for 50 people to come. And what is it because you need the services of those 50 people? If you need the services of those 50 people, sir, why is it through labor contracts? I'm not saying that yes, they must take the 50, but even the 50 you are offering, because one of their position is maybe they don't want it through labor contracts. They want it to come like the way you employ others. So if it is labor contracts, that's why you still need the job, but why is it coming through labor contracts? If you still need the job, why would it be a proper employment? It's just a person I want to make it a case of position for you, so that maybe you can clear the air with regard to the case of labor contract, so that maybe we'll be taking the whole issue, Chairman, piece by piece. If we are done with labor contract, then we can move to the issue of 50, 60, or 20s. So that at the tail end we take home something. we'll take back on something.
It has entered my mind. Yeah. I think, like you rightly said from your opening remark, this is the house of the people. This is a common man for stuff. I think we are almost there because only two key areas that may stop us from reaching where we want to be, which was canvassed by my colleague, that now you are talking of labor contract. Now, and the people are saying, if you align and juxtapose the submission of the madam that because of the economic downturn, because of projects in certain areas, that you can only be engaging 50 through labor contract. Now they are 151, and he was asking whether you are engaging them because you really need their services, or you are engaging them just because you want to satisfy the community. So this is a very key and serious question, because if you are engaging them as they are required, then I think I'm not trying to be sentimental. I think it's better to engage them as a staff, not a labor contract because you require them and you need them, because you require the 50 because they will serve you in your project. I'm an engineer, like what I'm introducing myself. Whoever you are engaging, no person, like in Korea, you have engineer, you have technician, you have craftsman. But all these categories, maybe one is interdependent on the other. It's not like a medical doctor, you have nurse, you have a sub-staff, everybody's job is so important that your contract. And even if you feel, you give them confidence. They are community hall, most of them are your host communities, and you are doing business. I know no business person will say, yes, I will be losing just to engage the community. But sit down, look at it, and come up. We are just trying to come up with a no. These are things that are coming. Look at the youths that all of us are looking at. That's my submission, Chairman.
I hope you're not ruling now.
No, not yet. But
I think
if you want to come in and ask questions, but not
appreciate us. Yes, we have gone far, and there is a key language that has been used here before, and I think that is what's been driving this talk all this while, amicable resolution. I'm somebody who do not believe that there is any hopeless situation. There is never a hopeless situation in life. Unfortunately, it is we men that have been hopeless and see situations as hopeless as such. I do not believe in hopeless situations. I strongly believe that yesterday's struggle should not, destroy today's or tomorrow's fortunes. We have come a long way, both parties, countries, not just an host community thing. And when we hear as a parliamentarian, as all my colleagues will agree, the moment you are sworn in and you take the oath of allegiance, your allegiance is to the entire country, not just to the people that you represent. And that is why we say we represent all the country. So I have actually done a lot of research into this issue. And I would say yes, I will give some kudos to Chevron. Yeah, we've shifted grounds. Initially, it was that there was no opening and we can't do anything. That's why I say there's no hopeless situation. Because the last time we met here, it was that there was no option other than to say, no, we don't have it, or you can let go. But right now, you've shifted grounds a little, and I believe strongly that there are these still opportunities that more grounds may be, discovered as we move on. But not by way of I'm twisting and blackmailing, you know, people, your corporate neighbors, you know, to submission. I strongly believe that yes, we can engage, you know, meaningfully, you know, meaningful engagement and peaceful engagement and achieve more. I say this against the backdrop of some certain, you know, approach by my brother and friend. You know, when you stand before Parliament, you don't issue threats. Those threats are better issued outside of the gate. You know, but when you are here to talk to people that are ready to listen to you and take unbiased decisions. I'm talking to you, my brother. Yes, you don't issue threats in Parliament because we didn't get here by way of force. We got here by your votes. And that is why when you are here, you should be very, very strong and proud to say, yes, you are before the people that will never arrest you. They will never chastise you, but they can arrest. But they will never want to do that. That will always want to be the last option. And it always comes when you are ruling and when you refuse to appear before them, when you are summoned. So I want to say yes. It's a very pathetic situation. I sometimes want to put myself in the shoes of the 5 and 6, whatever, that if I were them, just like they have said, these presumptions. Yeah, that is yesterday. Today is quite different. So what does today holds for us is what we discuss. Chairman, I would want to say that because we are making progress, and I believe in your capacity from the way you have handled this issue. Most of you might not even believe it that I've been with this chairman in this house for quite some time, and not until this issue, I never knew where his office was, and I don't think he knows my office. That's how we operate here. It was this issue that took me to his office for the first time. You know, so you can see how we work here. We work at very cross purpose against you or against your organization that you do not have, you are not registered. And you thereafter responded that you have about 69 OPITO certificates. And while you were making your presentation, if I get you very well, you said you have 2 companies. Did I get that? Is it the other one that you're using that is qualified with OPITO, or the 2 of them?
The 2 companies have OPITO.
The 2 companies have OPITO.
2 more. Evidence more.
All right. Because you say you are going
but that's the recruitment company, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is the training progress. And I'd like to crave your indulgence to think aloud. I'm not passing any verdict or showing what my position is. It's just something that's been, you know, going on in my mind. And I'm wondering, Chevron has made a proposal that you want to absorb 50 out of the 151. Then I am thinking aloud. A situation where your contractor for your contract staff thing can absorb the whole of the 151, or a situation where you take them in batches for permanent job. Just thinking out loud, so you can also go through it, and you know, while we're trying to reach a common ground.
And members of the committee, what we are trying to achieve.
Your position must not be taken today.
What we are
you
trying
understand? So that we don't take a position, and when you go back and meet, this is not the position of the committee. We are just rubbing minds. This may not be exactly what the committee will come up with, but this will help us, you know, arrive at our position. So you don't need to make any commitment now, clearly so, but you can say, this is where, you know, I'm headed. This is the direction I'm thinking, but let me come.
Chevron Nigeria Limited, NNPC joint venture, includes the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the host community, we Chevron Corporation, NNPC, and the social responsibilities that we have. As a business, from year to year, we put in investments by both partners, NNPC and Chevron, and you make returns for the Federation.
The oil and gas, in other sectors of the economy. We appreciate that, resulting from what our economy has come to at the moment. But let me also tell the various representatives of the Shekiri and the rest. You see, here we do not succumb to threats, and we do not advise anybody to resort to threats. As long as this matter is before Parliament, we expect you to maintain a high level of decorum in your conduct. And if you don't do that, I can assure you that this Parliament will be very unhappy with that, and we will express that in our own legislative manner. So let me warn you clearly that we do not want you to do anything issue. I will give 2 minutes to each of the groups to
take anything less than the conversion and the reclassification of the 151 trainees, because our petition before this house clearly states slave labor. Anything less than that means that these trainees are still
the house. Hello? But before we I also want you to take a second look at this discussion we have had today. You have heard from them, but I want to also tell our brothers on the other side that anybody that goes to the police is looking for peace. If not, would have, taken talks. Self-help. He would have taken talks